Dinosaurs ruled Earth for 165 million years, and then they were wiped out in a single moment. Not by evolution, not by a stronger predator, but by something that had been drifting through space for billions of years. This is what happened. To understand the dinosaurs, you have to go back to a world most people have never heard of. 252 million years ago. Long before the first dinosaur ever existed, life on Earth was nearly wiped out completely. Scientists call it the Great Dying. Volcanic eruptions in what is now Siberia tore open the Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. The oceans turned acidic, temperatures spiraled. When it was finally over, 96% of all marine species and 70% of all land species were gone. The Earth wasn't just damaged, it was gutted. But in the ruins of that devastated world, something small and scrappy began to stir. A group of reptile-like creatures called archosaurs started filling the void. Adaptable, resilient, built for a broken planet. And from this group, around 240 million years ago, the very first dinosaurs appeared. They were not the giants you are imagining, not yet. The earliest dinosaurs were lean, fast, bipedal creatures, some no bigger than a large dog, hunting insects and small prey in a world still healing from near-total collapse. Nothing about them suggested what they were about to become, but the Earth was about to hand them everything. Around 201 million years ago, another catastrophe struck. More volcanic activity, another mass extinction. The large reptiles that had shared the world with early dinosaurs and kept them in check were suddenly gone. The stage was empty, and the dinosaurs stepped into it like they were born for exactly that moment. They exploded in size, in number, in variety. Within a few million years, they had spread to every continent on Earth. Some grew into the largest land animals this planet has ever seen. Argentinosaurus stretched over 100 feet and may have weighed 80 tons. A single vertebra from its spine stands taller than a grown man. But the one that became a legend was something else entirely. Tyrannosaurus rex, 66 feet long, 9 tons of pure muscle and bone, a bite force stronger than any land animal ever measured, vision sharper than a hawk, a sense of smell that could track prey from miles away. It didn't just hunt, it ruled. Every other creature in its world either fled from it or died because of it. And here is what most people miss about T-Rex. It wasn't a relic. It wasn't some slow, lumbering beast. It was perfectly engineered. Every part of it, the jaw, the legs, the senses, was built to dominate. For millions of years, it sat at the top of a world teeming with life, completely unchallenged. For over 165 million years, dinosaurs weathered everything this planet threw at them. Climate shifts, rising seas, ice ages, they handled all of it. If you had watched from space for that entire span of time, you would have been forgiven for thinking this was simply the way things were and always would be. And then came the day that ended it all. 66 million years ago, a rock roughly 6 miles wide had been drifting through space for billions of years. A leftover piece of the early solar system with no destination, no purpose, and no idea what it was about to do. Then it found Earth. It entered the atmosphere, traveling at 40,000 miles per hour. In the final seconds before impact, the energy building ahead of it was already enough to ignite the air. It struck the shallow waters near what is now Mexico, and what happened next is almost impossible to put into words. The explosion released more energy than 2 million of the largest nuclear weapons ever built, all detonated simultaneously. The rock vaporized in an instant. A crater over 100 miles wide was punched into the Earth in seconds. A fireball expanded outward at hypersonic speed, incinerating everything within 1,000 miles before most animals even had time to move. But the blast was only the beginning. Billions of tons of vaporized debris were hurled into the upper atmosphere. Wildfires erupted across entire continents. And then the sky began to fill. Soot, ash, dust, layer after layer after layer, until the sun disappeared. The sky went dark, not for a day, not for a week, for years. Without sunlight, global temperatures collapsed. Plants stopped growing. The food chain, which had sustained complex life for hundreds of millions of years, began to unravel from the bottom up. Herbivores starved, then the predators that hunted them. The collapse was systematic and total. 75 to 80% of all species on Earth went extinct. And every non-avian dinosaur, every single one, was gone. There is something that stays with you when you really think about this. These animals had ruled for 165 million years. They had survived 2 mass extinctions to get to the top. They had dominated every environment on every continent. And they were brought down not by arrival, not by disease, not by some slow change they failed to adapt to, but by a single rock from space that had no agenda and no idea what it was ending. The randomness of it is almost cruel. But here is the part of this story that most people never hear. The dinosaurs did not fully go extinct. One group, small feathered dinosaurs that had been evolving quietly for millions of years, survived. They were warm-blooded. They could regulate their own temperature. They were small enough to survive on seeds and insects even when the ecosystem had collapsed. They made it through the darkness. We call them birds. Every bird alive today is a living dinosaur. The sparrow on your windowsill, the eagle soaring over a mountain, the penguin in the Antarctic cold. All of them direct descendants of creatures that looked up at the darkness, held on, and kept going. And the mammals that had lived in the shadows during the age of dinosaurs, small and overlooked for millions of years, suddenly had a world with no giants in it. They stepped into the light. They spread. They evolved. They diversified into thousands of forms across every continent. And tens of millions of years later, one line of them stood upright, looked at the sky, and started asking questions. You are here because that rock hit the Earth 66 million years ago. You are here because a small feathered animal survived the dark. Every catastrophe in this planet's history, every extinction, every collision, every volcanic winter was not just an ending. It was a door, and something always walked through it. The dinosaurs ruled longer than any creature before or since. They were extraordinary, and when their time ended, the story didn't stop. It just changed direction. If this episode changed the way you see the world, please like it and subscribe to Origin Uncovered. Every week, we go deeper into the stories that shaped everything around you. Next week, we follow the survivors, the rise of mammals, and the long, improbable road that eventually led to the first humans. Until then, stay curious. Origin Uncovered.